Audio Jungle.
Of course, as Adam brought up, and this ties in nicely as a segue, he said, I think teams like Jinx and Owasso and Union really need to get their licks in now, because guess who's coming around the corner next season? The Bixby Spartans finally to the great rejoicing of the rest of Class 6A-II. The Spartans move up to 6A-I next season. They've proven that they can beat 6A-I teams the past couple of years. They've beaten Jinx, multiple seasons in a row. The theme here, playing for second, I feel like we're all playing for second at this point. I feel like this is Bixby's title to lose. And they've already beaten everybody. The only team in the top six that they have not played is, I believe it was Del City. And, I feel like everyone else is kind of playing for second place. They just beat Booker T. Washington. And that's a really good Booker T team that they kind of took the axe to. They obviously just annihilated Choctaw earlier in the season.
And Choctaw beat Booker T earlier in the year.
Yeah, so who knows? Who knows? Yeah, exactly. And that's what gets me is when people had Booker T ranked ahead of Choctaw in the polls, exactly. I was kind of like, I do believe that you can beat a team and not necessarily be the better team throughout the entire season. But I do think Choctaw has, a massive amount of talent. I got to be honest, and maybe it's because I didn't get to go to this game, but the boys that were just at Cameron Stadium this past week, I feel like Del City, I don't know if you can be slept on as the number 4 team in the state, but if there's any way you can, it's Del City. I feel like people aren't taking this team very seriously. Everyone wants to talk about Choctaw or Booker T because they've got all these amazing D1 recruits. Del City's got a defense, man, that will just swarm you. Speaking of recruits, David Stone is just a sophomore, and I believe he already has offers from Oklahoma State, OU, and Texas A&M. Yeah. And you watch him, you look at him in a uniform, and you're like, oh, that's not a sophomore. That is a man. That is a man who just happened to stumble into a football game. I really think that's going to be a heck of a semifinal. I do have Del City playing Choctaw. I love Virgil Yates, the quarterback for Del City. I think he runs a really good run-based offense. They, as Ryan Breeze from Lawton High told me recently, it's one of those situations kind of like with Gentry Williams at Booker T. It's a case of take your best athlete and put him at quarterback. Doesn't mean he's a great quarterback, means he's your best athlete, and catch him if you can. And I would have picked Del City to win that semifinal, but I really like what Choctaw has. I think it's Bixby and Choctaw again, and I think you know who I'm picking.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm the same way. And my only reservation with Del City is just, following them for voting in the AP poll I just feel like they've been kind of inconsistent lately. They barely beat just an okay Putnam North team. They went to overtime with Deer Creek, which is good, which is a good team. They almost beat Stillwater earlier in the year. That one also went into overtime. And then giving up 35 to Lawton High. I was like, what?
A lot of that was garbage time, but yeah, it felt weird. Yeah, it did feel weird. I will say, I always find this a weird conversation to have on somebody like a Del City, who I believe played 3 overtime games this season. Does that mean that they play with their food, or does that mean that they know how to win in the clutch? Like, it's kind of the Tim Tebow thing from like a decade ago, and Tim Tebow would go like 4 of 18 and somehow win the game. You're like, okay, is he good? I can't tell. And that's kind of how I feel about Del City, which is part of why I'm picking Choctaw. I think if Del City's on their game, they're extremely tough. And we saw Choctaw pull an upset in the semis last year against Stillwater. So I feel like anything can happen. So we both have Bixby beating Choctaw.
Let's just hope that Choctaw's a little more competitive than 70-7.
My gosh, that boggled my mind. It's almost kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of like whenever Baker Mayfield or Kyler Murray or Johnny Manziel would do something ridiculous in a game. You're like almost numb to it at a certain point. Like, well, of course Bixby scored 70 in a game against the number 2 team in the state. Why wouldn't they? Like, they can do anything else. You're not realizing how ridiculous it is what they're doing at the time because we're just so numb.
Audio Jungle.